Hey guys, math lesson 108 is what we're doing today, and that is talking about two different things, formulas and distributive property. And those are going to go together, and you'll see how. We're going to start with formulas. If you look at 680, it tells you the definition for formula. Well, what a formula is, an example of a formula. Recall that we find the area of a rectangle by multiplying its length by its width. So the formula for area is length times width. We know that. This expression is a formula for finding the area of any rectangle. Usually formulas are written so that a letter represents each measure. Below, so this is on 681 now, below we list several common formulas. In these formula, P stands for perimeter, S represents the side length of a square. So we have area of a rectangle is A, which is area, equals LW, meaning multiply length times width. Remember when they're right next to each other like that, that means multiply. Perimeter of a rectangle has two different formulas, but you still get the same answer. You can do 2 times length times width, 2 times length plus width, or you can do 2 times length plus 2 times width. You're going to get the same answer either way. The area of a square is area A equals S squared, meaning whatever one side is, they're all the same, so you just multiply it by itself. If the side was 4, you would do 4 squared, which equals 16. And then perimeter of a square, P equals 4S, meaning all the sides are the same, you just multiply 4 times the one side that you know, or even if you know all of them, you only need to know one. Some figures are combinations of rectangles. In example 1, so still on 681, we see that the floor area of the house can be found by dividing the figure into rectangles and then adding the areas of the rectangles. So part A says, what is the perimeter of the house? So that's the same. We have to just add all the sides together. And I have it already up here, so y'all didn't have to watch me draw it. So we have 40 plus 40, and I'm doing this in my head. You'll probably, on these types of problems, want to write it out so you don't lose track, but just to save time, I'm going to do it in my head. 40 plus 40 is 80, plus 30 is 110, plus 20 is 130, plus 10, 140, plus 20, 160. So our perimeter is 160 feet. And again, perimeter, you just add all the sides together, no matter what shape it is. Now to find area, this is not a normal rectangle or square, so we have to divide it into two parts, into two rectangles, in order to find the area. So I'm just going to divide it down here. We could do it two separate ways. We could divide it here, or we could divide it here. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. So I have this rectangle right here. So the area is, we have to multiply, remember, 30 times 20. So the area of this rectangle is 30 times 20. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. We just need to put 2 zeros on the end of it because we've got 2 zeros right here. So that would be 600 feet squared. That's the area of this rectangle. Well, let's find the area of this rectangle over here. So this side we know is 20 feet, and this long side over here is 40 feet. So 20 times 40, we do it the same way, 2 times 4, which is 8. So 20 times 40 would be 800. And remember, it's area, it has to be squared. Our units have to be squared units. So you could have turned the page if you were following along. They decided to cut it here, but if we go ahead and add 600 plus 800, well, 6 plus 8 is 14. So we have 1,400 square feet. 1,400 square feet. Now, they did it differently, and they did to where they got 200 and 1200. It's the same answer. You can divide it either way, and you're going to get 400 square feet. Sorry, 1,400 square feet. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And talk about the distributive property. This is continuing on 682, so you can read along. There are two formulas for the perimeter of a rectangle. One of the formulas is perimeter equals 2 times, you have length plus width in the parentheses. Remember, when you have something in parentheses, it means to do that first. So you have 2 times length plus width. This formula tells you to add the length and width of a rectangle and then multiply by 2. Applying this formula to the rectangle below, we add 8 centimeters to 5 centimeters and get 13 centimeters. Then we double 13 centimeters and get 26 centimeters. So the perimeter of this rectangle is 26 centimeters because we have 8 plus 5. We add that together. 8 plus 5 is 13. Then we multiply that by 2, which is 26. So we get 26 centimeters. There's another formula. We can say perimeter is 2 times length plus 2 times the width, which you're going to get the same thing because 8 times 2 is 16, 5 times 2 is 10, so 10 plus 16 is 26. You're going to get the same answer, it's just in a different way. So either way you do it, moving on to 683, you're going to get the same answer, whichever formula you choose to use. So the equality of these two formulas illustrates an important property of mathematics called the distributive property. So if you look at 683, it shows you that 2 times length plus width is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. In the expression 2 times length plus width, both length and width are multiplied by 2. In other words, the multiplication by 2 is distributed over both length and width. So when we multiply 2 by L, the product is 2L. When we multiply 2 by W, the product is 2W. So let's see this in action. It says use the distributive property to multiply 4 times 20 plus 3. So what I could do is I could go ahead and add 20 plus 3, and I know we get 23, and then multiply 4 times 23. Well, I don't know 4 times 23 right off the top of my head. I'd have to think about it a little. But I can go ahead, I can multiply 4 times 20 and 4 times 3, and then add them together. So 4 times 20 is 80. 4 times 3 is 12. So then I add those together. 80 plus 12 is 92. And I will show you that we get the same answer because if I did 23 times 4, I get the same answer. But this way is probably a really good way. That way you can kind of do it and you don't have to write it all out. It is helpful to draw those arrows so you remember what you're multiplying. But that's called the distributive property. We're distributing this 4 and multiplying it by 20 and multiplying it by 3, and then we're doing the addition. So that's how that works. You will go ahead and do your lesson practice. It's on 683 and continues on to page 684. So go ahead and do that, and then you're going to do, this is lesson 108, so you're doing even problems, skip 16, do 17. Even problems, skip 16, do 17 instead. Okay, and as always, let me know if you have any questions.